Yo, what is going on, guys? So today I'm going to be talking about how I was super efficient at basic military training. So the best way that I found myself being super efficient at BMT was in a way just kind of doing me and not necessarily listening to everybody else, because if you think about it, there's 60 people, maximum 60 people, there might be more, I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure the maximum is 60, but there's 60 people in a flight, and that's a lot of people to have, you know, one person with this opinion and one person with this opinion and another person with this opinion. Like, it all starts to clash, right? And so you can kind of develop this negative vibe as a flight. And when you get to BMT, and I've said this in other videos, they kind of tell you this whole like 4-step process of teamwork and like how it starts, how you clash, and then how eventually we'll all come together. And that is very true. It sounds like, oh, that just sounds like some textbook stuff, but it actually does work out in that way. And just the best way that I found myself being super efficient was just doing me, because you have all these other opinions. And I personally don't go over well with like the student leadership type roles, like a dorm chief, for example. Like a dorm chief is in charge of the whole entire flight. Dorm chief tells you to do something and it's just kind of stupid and you're like, what, there's really no point to do that. And like, obviously you just go do it because it's your job, but like at the same time in your mind you're like, man, screw this, I really don't want to be doing this. And it's the same thing with element leaders. If you don't know what that is, element leaders are in charge of each column of like beds, and when you are down in formation or doing whatever you're doing, the element leaders are always in the front, and they kind of guide you, and they have their little facing movements and stuff like that. So basically they all are in charge. They are like under the MTI. Like the MTI will tell them what to do, and then they spread that out, right? The MTI is not always yelling at everybody, because you have to learn to work as a team. And the whole concept of like element leaders and dorm chiefs is teaching you how to do that, how to become a team, how to like understand leadership. And especially, this is kind of a big one, is officers. Because like, if you think about it, right, a lot of people join the military when they're 18. Officers join the military after they graduate college, like 4-year, 5-year college. So they're still in that same age group, but they have a lot more on their shoulders compared to, you know, just like a regular airman. Not in the sense of like they're doing more work, but they get like all the respect, you know what I'm saying? Like you salute officers, you say yes sir, no sir to officers, yes ma'am, no ma'am, like that type of stuff, right? So it's hard for some people to have that understanding when they're in the same age group, right? So it's not really relevant. Like obviously I'm like kind of swaying away from the subject, but like it all kind of ties together with like the teamwork sort of thing, right? So like I was on utility crew, and everybody would bring their brushes back and their brooms back and the mops back like super dirty, and literally we had to make sure that there was not one speck of dust anywhere inside of that closet or on any of the brooms, the brushes, the dustpans, anything, right? So, and we had to make sure everything was accounted for and marked. Like we had to be super precise about everything, and that's like a super important job, because as a flight, every single detail basically has to have like as low of demerits on everything as possible, because that's how you I'm not really remember what the end goal for that was, but that's how you not get in trouble essentially, right? So that sort of stuff like is super important, and it's really important to like get your detail, and you're like, okay, like I have to make sure nobody brings anything in here with dust. And like you have to learn how to like be a leader in a type of way and not just be like an asshole, because like if somebody brought back a dustpan that was dirty, I can't just be like, yo, go clean this, because like I didn't know any of these 60 people or 59 people. So when they would bring something back, like eventually I worked my way into like, yo, you need to go clean this, because when you spend that much time with a certain amount of people, you just kind of start to go crazy. So, but originally it's kind of like awkward, because it's like, oh hey bro, like I know like I told you this when you first got it, but like you actually need to make sure there's no dust on it. Like you need to go pick through the bristles and make sure you get all the hair out and stuff, and it can be kind of dirty, and a lot of people don't like that. So they would just either like sneak it in behind my back when I wasn't paying attention, or do whatever sneaky stuff they were trying to do. So like at the end of the day, it was like, okay, I just have to figure this out on my own. And that is so big in BMT. And you're probably like, where are you going with this video? But like honestly, the best way to do it is to just jump in and swim, because there's no like blah 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 for like, oh, this is how to be efficient at BMT. No matter how many videos you watch, no matter how many YouTubers you watch, it doesn't matter. Like you have to learn on your own in a sense. And when I went in, it was just like, okay, like let's do it, and then you just kind of figure it out. It's just like a puzzle. So I mean, there are a couple things that are very stern, like just listen to people, right? You're all there for the same reason. You're all there for the exact same amount of time. You're all leaving on the same day, the same hour, on the same buses, unless one of you gets hurt or whatever, right? So It's about like just be like, all right, man, like I really don't like you. I disrespect you as a person. I don't like you. I don't want to be around you, but we're all here for the same reason, so I'm gonna do it with you. So I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna front and be like, oh, BMT was like awesome. It was the best time of my life. I'm not gonna be negative either, because BMT was definitely a good time, and like I'm not gonna speak negatively about that whole subject, but like it's really hard to go from a normal lifestyle like this to spending time non-stop 24/7 with a bunch of random people. It is extremely hard to do that, and I can't even explain it. Like, it's just like living with a bunch of random people with all sorts of different personalities. You have dirty people, you have clean people, you have quiet people, you have loud people, you have racist people, and then you have like nice people. Like, it's just like it's everywhere. It's always a roller coaster, and like that's why you kind of develop like, okay, these are like my main friends, like these are the main people that I talk to, and it just kind of like clicks out like that. And you really just have to be versatile in that aspect, because you have to keep in mind that every single person that you're there with is a different person. They're a different human being. Maybe they joined the Air Force because they wanted to serve their country for their whole entire life. Like, that is exactly what they wanted to do. They grew up, they were 7 years old, and they're like, yes, I'm gonna join the Air Force one day. And you can be like, wow, like I really just wanted to go to college, so I'm here, you know what I mean? Or maybe like somebody bet you to join the military, because I've met people like that, and they're like, oh, you don't think I can? And then they go. So it's kind of crazy. You just have to have that understanding, and just know that like, it's happening for, it's almost like high school, right? Like high school is like, yeah, it's about the education, whatever, right? But like, it's a lot about figuring out how to communicate with people, problem solving skills. Like, it teaches you that sort of like corporate like environment, like this is your boss and they tell you what to do and you learn how to do it. It's like that concept, right? Not in a sense of like, oh, whatever, school, but they're trying to drill in you, like, this is the way that it's going to be. And they're not gonna let you fail, you know what I mean? Like, oh, they'll let you fail to an extent, but I mean, like, let's say you have to figure out how to like all have really good formation, right? Like, you're really trying to get your drill right. Like, all of you, like, you have like 5 people in your flight and their left face sucks, right? Like they're turning left and they suck at it, and like it makes your whole flight, all 60 people, look like crap when you actually are all doing it together. So you like have to sometimes take the time out of your day, whether you have to be rolling or folding or doing your detail or whatever it is. Sometimes you have to take that time to be like, okay, look, this is what you're doing wrong. And if you're doing it wrong, you have to have that same mentality of like, okay, maybe I am doing it wrong, so let me reevaluate myself and be like, okay, this is how I can change it, and this is how I can fix what I'm doing. Because at the end of the day, again, you're all there for the same reason. You're all trying to accomplish the same thing, which is getting out of there so that you can get to tech school. Because once you get to tech school, everything is completely different. Now, I can only speak for Keesler because I don't know about the other tech schools, but when I got to Keesler, it was such a breath of fresh air because it was like so much nicer. Everything was awesome. Like, it's just a complete like 180-degree change. So just keep that in mind, that you have to be super versatile. And that's honestly like the #1 way to be super efficient, is do what you're told, be versatile, and have an open mind that like sometimes you need to switch things, sometimes you need to try new things, and just all sorts of stuff like that. Like, I promise you, when you go in and you first start rolling and folding, you will suck at it, and like you're gonna develop these certain techniques of doing everything. One person will roll their sand tees up the locker, the other person will roll it by hand, someone else will just roll it with the ruler and then smooth it out on the locker, and you guys probably might not even know what I'm talking about, but like when it comes down to it, you're gonna develop certain skills in certain areas, and you're gonna have to be able to teach those skills to other people or be able to absorb other people's skills, you know what I mean? So the best way to do it is just be open-minded, honestly. I know this video is kind of everywhere, but like definitely just, if you take anything away, to be versatile and be open-minded, because that's like the #1 thing. So also, don't be that guy that's like trying to be negative all the time. Like, this is another huge thing for the pessimistic side of things, because everything else has been super optimistic. Like, yes, like just adapt and be open-minded, but this is for the pessimists. Like, you really need to just leave that at home. When you get to Lackland, just get rid of it, because it's literally a different lifestyle. It's like going through an 8.5-week portal. Your life changes on the other side because you're a complete clean slate. Like, for example, people who are like chain smokers go to BMT for 8.5 weeks, which is plenty enough time to quit smoking. It's plenty enough time to quit dipping. Whatever bad habit you may have, it's plenty enough time to quit that. And when you get to the end, it's like, okay, I have a decision. I can either go back to smoking cigarettes or I can stop smoking cigarettes completely. And it's the same concept with like being a good person, for example. Like, let's say you're a piece of crap dude, you get to BMT, you learn how to adapt to people, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna change my mind and just try to be positive every single day from the time that I wake up to the time that I go to sleep. Just try to be the most positive and uplifting person that I can be. And then you get out of BMT because everything went well, and then you fall straight back into that same old lifestyle. So it's really just about that, man. It's just for the pessimists. Like, don't be that guy that gets there, that everybody hates, that you're just dragging everybody down. You're dragging everybody's mood down. Like, you're starting fights with people, because if you get in a fight at BMT, like if you physically touch somebody, you're out of the Air Force and you're never gonna be able to rejoin. That's just that's how it is. Like, just don't be that guy. Like, don't try to be all tough, because it's not about that. BMT is not about being tough. It's about developing leadership skills. It's about doing what you're supposed to do effectively in a really quick amount of time, but still be able to be effective and do it quickly, you know what I mean? So really just kind of go in there with that mentality, and I 100% promise you that everything will be perfectly fine. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. Leave your ship dates down below. I also got a new lens today, which I'm super excited about. This is a 35mm Nikkor lens with a 1.8 aperture. Well, I'm shooting at 1.8 right now, so if you know anything about cameras, then you know exactly what I just said. If you don't know, basically it means the background is going to be super blurry, and my face hopefully should be super crispy. So let me know what you think down below about that as well, because I still have my little kit lens and stuff like that too. So anyways, aside from everything, again, don't forget to subscribe and leave your ship dates down below. So anyways, peace out.